Hi there. Hi there, everyone. It's Stephanie Mann at the Safe Kids Now show. And I'm sorry we're a little delayed today because there have been storms in New York and all over, and we've had fires in California. So sometimes the internet gets a little bit confused. But we are here today, and I am so excited to have with me Jay Gordon Boyd. And he's a Canadian, and he is been working on a mission to see that kids have the armor to succeed. And that means the safety protection, which is so important for kids. So in today's world, knowledge of crime, accident, fire prevention, emergency preparedness, as well as mental health awareness are tools that every child needs to succeed and survive. To create, he created a nonprofit. It's called STEPS, that's the acronym, but it's Safety Training Empowerment Programs for Kids or Students. So to make sure that students get the prevention education they need, and goodness knows we all need to empower our kids. So Jim Boyd is working with many different schools. He's been working in Canada, and he's been making an online version, which will be available in the not too distant future. Under the program, police officers, firefighters, paramedics would provide instructions on health, security, and a positive lifestyle. So I want to welcome Jim Boyd.
Hi. Hello, everybody. Siobhan and Stephanie, thanks so much for having me here today. And of course, thank you for all that AAU and the Safe Kids Network does to empower children and families throughout the world. I understand this show is broadcast in 500 station affiliates in several countries, and that's wonderful. We're
trying to get that message out. The kids are super important because you don't notice that the politicians don't talk about the plight of children. So it's always my pleasure to introduce our audience to people like you, Jim, that are working to keep kids safe. So how did you begin to do all of this work and get into it in the first place?
In the back of an ambulance 40 years ago.
Oh my.
For 40 years. Every bad thing that I saw that happened to good people, especially our youth,
yeah.
It was heartbreaking to say the least. And, after every call, we need debrief with the responders and the government officials. I found that I would often be asking them, can you help us to, compile a system, to develop a system rather that would prevent these type of things from occurring. And, everybody's tried. Everybody's done the very best they can, from governments to private stakeholders, to assure the safety of our kids. But as we said in some of our news articles, we can't assume that our children will understand what they need to know.
Right.
And, we had the conversation this morning with a corporate president of Emergency Preparedness Canada, and he said to me that not only do children have short attention spans on the internet,
Yeah.
They don't want to look at safety information. It's like watching paint dry. And I agree. And us adults don't often research anything safety or health until we're in trouble. And we'd like to change that. We're excited. We have collaboratively developed fire, crime, accident, mental health, addictions training, and a whole lot more as rewards and incentives for youth to come on and take this training online.
Right. Oh, well, that is exciting because you actually bring people in to demonstrate or talk about this in schools. Is that correct? Or how does that work?
Well, several years ago, one of the large police forces in the metropolitan Toronto area asked me to help them put crime prevention in the schools. And I asked, why do they need me? I'm an ambulance man. You're a policeman. And he said, well, the kids won't come. And I said, probably your uniform might be scaring them. They don't want to be hanging around with the police officer in the school because their friends may blacklist them. And so what I decided or suggested rather to the police staff sergeant is that we put ambulance and fire people in with the police people, downplay with the uniforms, downplay the policing enforcement side, and talk more about what's good for kids and how can we protect them, how can we move them forward. And we went from 19 students to 1,025 in about a 2-week period when we offered those incentives and rewards. One of them was their volunteer hours they needed to graduate high school. Right. We fed them, we catered to them just like we do in the movie sets. And these young people were just glowing with gratefulness. They did. They just thought this was the best thing ever. I got a message yesterday from our youth ambassador who's been talking to high school students all over, and she said, my friends say this is Amazon. And I said, no, that's another company. She said, no, we mean it's great. so we're very excited.
Amazon.
Yeah, we're very. I went, that Amazon company. They're always in the way, but we're so excited that people are accepting the program, and even field experts from all of those target areas: crime, fire, accident, mental health. They've tried everything, and they know they can do better, but. Nobody's alone on this. It's not about me. It's not about you or Siobhan. This is about a collaborative effort. And if we expect our kids to do community service, then so should we. And I think we need to get down at their level and help them. And that's what you've done, Stephanie, with Empowerment Parenting and your programs through neighborhoods throughout the continent of the United States.
Well, it's so important. I agree with you completely because we can't just be a talking head somewhere. No. We have to put our information out in front of them. And that means that getting those people involved. And of course, all the kids go to school. So at least they used to.
Well, now they're online. So they're a pretty captive audience if they need those credits.
Absolutely. So tell me, tell me what kind of progress you've made, because I know you're in Canada. Now, what are you doing to get yourself into the United States? Because we need you.
Well, this might make you very happy.
Okay.
I had the conversation, as I said earlier this morning, with a emergency preparation or emergency preparedness, disaster risk management type man. And I said, it's no wonder that kids have such high incidence of risk with everything from driving to drowning to suicides to substance abuses, because we haven't put out proper education programs for them. And certainly we need to reward them and steer them into directions that steer them away from criminal pathways and steer them away from unhealthy lifestyles or unsafe lifestyles. So what we're excited about right now is that the film industry is coming on board with us, through directors that I work with and young assistant directors. And I said to these young, brand new film graduates, some of the senior directors will mentor you. We're going to build video platforms for all of these target areas. This will take time, but the directors themselves, and especially the youngest assistant directors, were very, very pleased to take part in it. And actually thanked me and said, thank you for including us. And, I think it boils down, Stephanie, to the fact that every one of us has a teenager or knows a teenager. Mm-hmm. And most of us know a teenager who's been impacted by any number of calamities that affect people.
Absolutely.
And there's nothing harder, I think, on a parent than seeing one of their teenagers in trouble, and whether it be a fatality or a critical injury or a serious criminal charge. It's heartbreaking.
Right.
It's different.
Certainly is. It is.
I think it's different than when they're young children. We've done the best we can to prepare them when they're teenagers. So we're here to assist families and governments to
Absolutely.
make sure that we give kids that information. Money was the deciding denominator, I believe. There isn't enough money in the world to make certain every child has this unless the communities themselves got involved. And that's why we're so thrilled to be in association with so many wonderful
good.
people.
Well, now, how do you get these communities involved? How does that work?
You have to go on your knees and ask them. And I found that if you ask people to assist with a program of this type, most people say it's an amazing program and I wish I had time, or they say we're absolutely interested and we'll absolutely do what we can from our perspective or from our field to assist. And that's what we're finding.
Good, good. Well, now, you have certificates that you pass out to kids. Okay. Well, give me a little structure information about the program. How do you start and how does this work? Because, hey, I'm a teenager. What's going to happen in this course to help me?
Well, this is why we've chosen 12 youth ambassadors. They'll take 6 from Canada and 6 from the United States, and they will work with student councils in the high schools and promote the program when it's ready to launch. It'll be a simple matter of going online. We will provide the proper links at that time. They'll just go online. They'll dig into the information. They can take the program all at once, or they can take it over a period of months or years if that's what they choose to do. In high school, you have a requirement in Ontario, and I know some states of 40 hours of community service, and we would credit the students for attending with that.
Okay. So they get a certificate at the end. How long is the course?
Well, it can be as little as they want, or it can be as much as they want.
They get to choose?
Well, yes, and when we say certificates, what we're going to do is for those students who have completed all the modules, and there'll be several, we will provide them with certifications, and I believe the American title is GHS for workplace hazards, chemicals and substances, that type of thing. We'll provide them certifications in that and in safe food handling and CPR and first aid, or we will plug them into organizations that will provide that training at minimal cost or free in a lot of cases. Okay. So those certifications were developed in order to, number one, find kids a career path, get them a part-time job, and if we do that, we steer them away from criminal pathways like drug dealing or gang membership. Mm-hmm. And okay. if we can get them a job, we can put money in their pocket. And if they have their own money, their self-esteem is much higher. And we also look at this as a mentoring opportunity to help kids with career placements. So we rely heavily on the education system and the teachers at the ground floor to assist in promoting the program to their students.
Okay, some of our listeners from different communities, I know Cecily's in Southern California, and some of our other listeners are from all over the country. So how would we be able to help access your program? How could we go about signing up or getting your attention to?
If you contact me or one of our directors personally, and we will certainly work with your organization or individuals with skills that can assist with the program development. And understand that the project is mammoth in its scope and its practice. So it's going to take some more time to have this prepared. We're hoping for a winter launch and with some video content. But as I said, your friends, your associates, corporate America is more than welcome, including the government agencies, more than welcome to work with us collaboratively, because we feel that's how things get done.
Jim, this sounds like a great idea. And, kids need to have specific information and people that are actually doing things to show up and talk to them about what they are doing to stimulate their interest. Give us an idea of how to perhaps contact you in the future to access the program when it comes out. And you say it's probably coming out around winter time, is that correct?
Well, we were aiming at last winter, and the COVID just got in our way. It just severely impacted us as well as so many other people. And I don't work in emergency medicine anymore. I work in the movie industry, setting up compliance systems for COVID and so on. So I've met a lot of wonderful people in that industry that are helping us. If people want to assist, and we won't turn anybody away.
Okay.
It could be a grandparent that decided they want to see that in the community. We're happy to talk with them, so they can write to me.
Okay. Tell me what.
Do you want me to post that, or
hang on a second, because we need to take a little break and have a little commercial announcement, and then I will get back to you. But in the meantime, you're going to tell us exactly how to get in touch with you, so that if people are interested in their community, and I certainly will pass that information on. And at this time, we'll take a break. So we'll see you in just 1 minute.
Be right back.
You're listening to All About Us Radio. We're live streaming 24/7, playing old school versus new school. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at AAU Media, and visit our website www.aaumedia.com. Call us at 1-833-369-1444 extension 1 and leave us an inspirational message or request. You're listening to All About Us Radio. You're listening.
Welcome back. I'm Stephanie Mann at safekidsnow.com. And we're so excited today to have Jay Gordon Boyd, or Jim Boyd, here with us, talking about how to empower kids in school by presenting a program that offers them opportunities to hear from firefighters, police officers. Anyway, you tell them a little bit about that again, so that we've got a clear understanding of what we're talking about.
We want to keep kids safe.
Right.
Number one, we want to keep them out of trouble with the law. We want to help them to be happy and productive and succeed, whatever career path they choose. And we know that this is impacting students everywhere. We graduated 1,025 over the past few years in the Mississauga, Toronto area. And if you'd like, I'll go ahead and I've given you that contact information, Stephanie. Do you see it in front of you there? Steps.life safety.
No, I don't see it.
Do you want me to type on the screen here?
Yes, that would be great.
That might be best. We gotta make sure we're hitting the right button here.
All right. Well, as you're typing, I will just explain that this is an opportunity coming up to get kids involved in thinking about how it works when you have emergency preparedness people coming into the community. A lot of people don't know what that means. So anyway, there is Jim Boyd's steps.lifesafety@gmail.com. Is that correct?
Yes, and people can contact me, and there's no silly questions.
Okay.
And it may take us some time to get back, because we know we'll receive a flood of responses. As I said, it can be a grandparent. It might be a student. We're willing to speak with everybody that wants to be involved with the program from a planning capacity or for program development, and even if it's just suggestions.
Okay,
and they're welcome to contact us.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. So do you have any specific things you would like to say about the program at this point? Well, maybe a question I didn't ask that you might like to talk about?
I'm going to say what I've said all week long in talking with executives in so many different fields. I'm fascinated every time somebody says, yes, I'm interested. I'm just
Jim,
fascinated.
we're getting some background noise. I'm not sure if there's somebody else talking or what. But okay.
No, I don't see anybody sitting around me.
Wonder what, it's not here. Maybe it's at the studio. I'm not sure, but go ahead. Try it again. Say that again. I appreciate that.
I was saying, as I have this conversation many, many times with corporate executives and government officials and police officers, firefighters, doctors, I'm fascinated by the amount of people that are stepping forward saying, we're interested in this. How can we help? And,
Great.
you know, it's not the teenagers' fault that they're the most high risk in any age group in all of these categories with these problems. We barely give them enough information to keep them from getting hit by a car when they're a toddler. And then we assume that they're going to have all this information. So we're excited at the response from teenagers themselves, especially when it comes to providing them certifications to find a job and some of the other rewards and incentives. We even have the music industry coming into the program to assist in a big way. And I can't say anything prematurely. I can't, until the ink's dry on the paper. But we have some major musicians and music industry professionals coming in to assist with everything from downloadable music to a career mentoring for the music industry. And this is what we're watching develop in front of our eyes. So when people ask me what's taking so long, I'm telling them, if you saw the size and the scope of the program, you would understand. Many years ago, I asked the question, if I could have any program I wanted, what would it be? Money wasn't an issue. So I decided that I would start planning backwards and asking people, if money wasn't a problem, would you help us? And what I'm finding is that money is not the solution. You can't throw money at every problem that we see. We've watched hundreds of billions of dollars wasted on fighting wars, only to turn around and see everything becomes unraveled again. And we don't have enough money to invest in mental health and addictions and all of the problems that young people suffer. If we expect to be effective, we have to get down and roll up our sleeves and get dirty and help them.
You said something very important there, because I hear so many people are kind of saying the same thing. It's not about money. Mm-hmm. A lot of times it's about relationships. It's about talking and asking questions.
Right.
Even in my work of putting neighbors together in neighborhood support systems, it's not about throwing money at cities, or because that causes corruption. And I mean, we've got plenty of corruption, because as a crime and violence prevention consultant, I can tell you a lot of these cities are swamped with money, and the money doesn't go necessarily where it's supposed to go. So what you're saying is very important, that it's going to take all of us getting involved and, looking at our own family to see what needs to change in our own family. It's
got to be a labor of love.
Absolutely. And unless we take those steps, things are not going to change. So if you want a safe community, you have to get involved, not just in your home and neighborhood, but in your schools, because Lord knows what in the world they're teaching in our schools. You ought to be down there asking questions. What are you teaching me? What are you teaching my children? I want to know precisely what your plan is and when you plan to do it. So unless we ask these questions and everybody thinks somebody else is going to do it, it's not going to change. Would you agree with that?
I do. And I think that whether the child comes from Henderson, Nevada, or Los Angeles, or New York City, I want to offer this course to them with the same love that I have for my own children and grandchildren. As we go forward, we want to build those relationships with the student councils and the students in communities. We even have a plan to allow for music education programs for correction institutes for young offenders. Should they take the basic course and they're qualified for free music instruction. We have a music company working on that now. We feel that if you can lead a child by example and give them something interesting to do, you're going to keep that trust with them. You're going to continue in a mentoring. Yes. And I asked the question of corrections officials and comrades that I have in that industry, and I said, of all the young offenders that are in prison, do you find any of them had music education? And the answer was no. Generally, no. They like to listen to rap or rock music, whichever they do. And I said, well, would you think that a child who had quality music education, for an example, would end up being in a correctional institute? And when they thought about it for a while, they said, we've never really run into that. We've never seen anybody in our jails that, are studying music.
Oh.
And I said, well, to me, it's pretty simple. If you give somebody something to do that they're totally interested in, they're not going to veer off the path and get involved with things that truly aren't good for them. They're going to continue to focus on those things that they're passionate about. That's the music program and so many other programs that we're developing.
Yeah, that sounds great. Well, we have a question here from Cecily. And Cecily wants to know, do you have any statistics on prevention results? Prevention, from my point of view, it's hard to, figure out, how
to
much
prepare. Cecily, thank you for the question. It's a really good one.
Yeah,
it's a very good one. It's a very good one, and I'm happy to answer it. While preparing for this particular segment, I did some research very quickly, had some of the staff do it, on American statistics and Canadian statistics, and realizing both countries are totally different in terms of population. We found that the incidence of accidents and drownings and fires and suicides was really about the same for both countries, given the size of the populations. So we think it's a generic problem with kids. Are we going to be successful? Yes. And the reason we'll be going to be successful is because we will have the parents working with the kids. Can I guarantee it? No. But I asked the person who asked the question, you can guarantee it by taking an interest in the youth in your community and assisting them with programs. A lot of people have said to me, why hasn't this been done before? I said, well, there was no money in it. You would have had companies popping up all over the place, just like we see the marijuana retail stores now. Everybody would have been rushing to capitalize on safety and health if there was money in it. There is no money in it.
Prevention does not make money.
Right. So we don't see a program that's exclusively for teens. And everybody tries to do their own. But I like what President Bush said after the trade centers fell down. He said, we kind of knew it was going to happen, but nobody shared the information. We're all territorial and kept the information to ourselves, whether it was because they feared budget restraint or whatever, I don't know. But I think it's high time that we can't say any one particular group is in charge of safety and health. It's about all of us working together. Same as driving and impaired driving. Absolutely.
And, I have a comment here that I'd like to read to you that was written. It says, I was taught crime prevention early by my dad. And at age 16, a boy threatened jokingly to rape me. I told my parents and we met with the police. At first, the policewoman was skeptical. So we talked to the precinct captain. He listened because he had kids. Plan thwarted. So teach kids how and where it works. Still use it today.
I think there's nothing like a call from the police captain to the individual's family to say, listen, the girls complained, and I mean, early intervention from our law enforcement people is important.
Very important. Yeah, especially if we're talking about prevention. Because then they see some results and somebody has helped them and they get a good feeling about, having some help from the police. Okay, another comment. This was in Washington, D.C., the winter of 1974. I just successfully thwarted a threat via San Diego County Courts civil harassment process. No money spent. Okay, that's her comment.
And it's valid. I mean, again, money isn't the issue here. She took the time
No.
to peacefully negotiate a truce with
Yeah.
whoever had launched the complaint.
You know,
I think most things are easy to solve.
I do too, but you know, what bothers me, and I've seen this in my business of working with neighbors that have some extreme problems, is they don't complain. They wait until everybody's very upset and then they march down and say, we got to get rid of the police. That's not a good strategy. A better strategy is when you have a problem, express how you're feeling about it. So you establish a relationship. I think relationships are very important. And here's another question. Mr. Boyd, do you have a website?
No, right now it's on the back of a napkin. And I guess a nice question, whoever sent it in. We will. As I said earlier in the show, the size of the scope of the program is so big. It's a mammoth undertaking. We could have thrown a website up that maybe would have accomplished the goal. We doubt it. But because there's so many organizations coming on with us, we want their input too. And we're very happy we made the decision to wait on the web program and the tools because we have the film industry now saying we want to play too. So when we take all of those skills and everything from communications to public relations, we're working with the best of the best people, and the cost is minimal to us, and this is why we're excited. So I'm sorry the website isn't up yet. I want it up more than anybody, but we don't want to put up a website just for the sake of saying we have a website. Anybody could have a website.
That's right. Anybody can have a website, but you want a good one that sends your message the right way so that people can actually tap in and get the resources they need for making things happen in their community. So good for you.
I want those teens who've been on the website to tell their siblings, their younger children in the family, to go to that website. This will be something that will go on year after year after year as students evolve and change faces in the classrooms.
Well, any final thoughts from you, Jim, on, that you'd like to share with our audience?
I would like to share with the audience that we probably all would benefit very, very large from reading Empowerment Parenting. And this wasn't a plug just for you, Stephanie. I've read the manuscript several times, and it's fundamental and it's very, very simple. I mean, good things don't always happen to people. Bad things happen to good people. And I'm reading that question. I'll just wait on the question and I'll get to that, whoever sent it in.
Okay.
It comes down to how do we build the relationship with our own children. And empowerment parenting spelled that out pretty clearly to me. So we're very, 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 very strongly focused on having a faith-based, common sense approach to steering the children in the right direction. Okay, I'll read that question. My elementary school had done a good job in the 60s of teaching us kids about officer friendly, and as German Shepherd, us kids were taught to ask the officers to help. Isn't it sad that somewhere between grade 8 and grade 11 or 12, a lot of kids lose respect for the police? Whereas when they were children, they loved the police. And I've always wondered why. But as we become teenagers, we get into more and more, the world opens up to us, and we find we may be in trouble ourselves or doing things we shouldn't be doing, and now we're looking over our shoulder. So, for people that hate the police, I have this to say. Are you in trouble with the police? Or have you been in trouble with the police? Make the police your friend, and they'll leave you alone. Just like bees. If you swat at a bee's nest, it's gonna sting you.
That's
pretty
true.
bad analogy, but it's truth. I have no problems with bees as long as they don't bite me for no reason.
Yes, very good analogy. And I would say that, the message that you're delivering to us today is so important, and we will be anxious, and I will definitely promote your program. I'm so happy to hear about it and know that you are working on this, and it is something that all of us can promote in our own communities. So as soon as you are ready, we'd love to have you come back in December or January or whenever you get that website up and you get that program going to refresh our memories about this. And we will love to hear from you, when things get more finished. So I'm just delighted to have the opportunity to talk to you before it gets finished so we know what to look forward to. So thank you so much.
I thank you, and I wouldn't have missed this opportunity for anything, because these conversations are what built this program. And
Yes.
we've been having them for many, many, many years. And now that I'm not in the back of that ambulance anymore, I have time to think.
Good. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
And you, Stephanie.
All right. Well, you take care, and we will talk to you at a later date. So I just want to give people a little announcement. So thank you again, and we'll talk again soon. Thank you. Okay. And I want to give you an update on our guest, which will be next Wednesday at 1 o'clock if we don't have any weather problems. Apparently, we had some weather problems that delayed us today. But our guest next week is Jim Holler. And Jim lives in Pennsylvania, and he's a former police chief. And he will be talking to us about what he's doing to help kids, because he's been working in the specializing in children ever since even when he was a police chief. So now he's going to share with us next week what he is doing to make life better for kids. So there's a lot of wonderful people and a lot of wonderful things going on in our communities. So join us next week, and we will look forward to talking to you then. So signing off for today. Thank you for joining us. Bye.